So good morning, everyone. Welcome to a Brilliant Businesses podcast. My name's Nick Bryant, and I'm with Craig Shields and Suzanne Elsey this morning. Good to see you both.
Hi, good to see you too.
Doing all right?
Yeah, good, thank you. Now, they are the founders of Link ID Limited. The ID stands for Invested Development. And they've got combined skills in project management, interior design, property refurbishment and sales. And I've been talking to them individually about what they've achieved in their own careers. And they're putting together 47 years worth of experience together in construction and interior design. So one of you, tell us how it all came about and tell us what's going on with it.
Basically, I did a shout out to find more carpenters for my interior design business. And I was introduced to Craig, who had actually put out a specific referral in his networking group for interior designers. So it linked quite nicely. Yeah. He very quickly became my main contractor. There's a lot of synergy between our quality standards, how we work with clients, and our end goals as well. So we worked really well together. Craig became my main contractor for all my client work, regardless of what that was. And we then formed Link ID, and the link came because we were linking our businesses together.
Yeah.
And the ID came because it is invested development.
Yeah, nice.
But I didn't want to put that in an email because that's far too long.
Yeah,
so we abbreviated it.
Yeah.
Basically, the idea of the behind the company was really to provide work for ourselves. So we weren't relying on the economy, the luxury markets. You know, am I going to have clients in 3 months' time or not? So we wanted to sort of almost recession-proof ourselves. So the main thought about it was, well, we'll just top up our client work with this and have our own projects going on. But actually, after about 8 months or so, we decided actually we can completely pivot that round and just top up with client work and do our own projects because we can be more effective that way. So that's pretty much what we did. We found a couple of investors and went forward on our first project, which we had to build through COVID, but we were able to continue building, and we still have that property, and we've got tenants living there who absolutely love living in it. And that's what we strive for. We want high quality. We want people to love where they're living, or renting or buying, whatever the situation is. And really make a difference. We love giving to local business owners, so we keep local business owners in work. And obviously we're leaving a legacy. So those are our core values for our company. And I think what we've done so far really sums those up, and we've always got those at the forefront of what we do. Nice.
Did you say earlier who approached who about this?
We sort of, we both were reaching out to different people, really.
We got introduced through networking, so obviously Suzanne put a message out there, and I was obviously looking for interior designers, so we got linked on a network that we're on, B&I, and then we met up then, and that's when the work started. Sort
of grew organically then, I guess. All the meeting was organic, you know. You just called out for a property guy, and Craig was there, you're the interior designer, and it sort of, I think things are good like that though.
Yeah, sometimes it's what you put out to the universe,
Isn't
it comes
it?
back.
Yes, the law of attraction, we like a bit of that, don't we?
Absolutely.
So Craig, your side of it.
I was putting it out there really because of, obviously, as a contractor, it's good to work with someone that's going to give you repetitive work, you know. So obviously just the one-off client, you do it and then you move on, and you've got to keep finding it. So, and for us, when you're on the tools, you're looking for the work. Sometimes that's quite difficult, even though of advertising and networking you do. But obviously, with Suzanne's bringing in work, we know that there's we can look after Suzanne or any other two designers you're working with. That if you do a good job, you're only good as your last job. So continue doing that, and then obviously hopefully continue doing more work. And that's why working with Suzanne and looking for interior designers was what CS Carpentry was about, really, looking for repetitive work. And like working with some developers as well, because I know they're going to move on to another development. It was that sort of thing. I think a lot of tradesmen look for that, because it's all well and good having one client, they're really happy to do your testimony, it's great, but obviously
when it's gone, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. And if you want to build a team around you, you've got to have that repetitive work coming in. So when Suzanne said to me she was going to look for a job, and obviously Brexit wasn't doing too well on the interior design things, it was like, well, we need to do something about that because obviously that was going to be a big hole in my business as well, So and obviously doing a bit of development in the background, it was just wise to, like, we started doing our own, So obviously that's why we looked at the auction first of all, because it's a natural place to look. And we were lucky enough that we did find the one we wanted, and it worked out really well. The first project, I think. The first one's always got to be right, because it can put you off, can't it? So I think it was like make or break your first project. So I think the size that we picked was 3 flats. So it was, at the time we were just building 18 houses in Dagenham for a developer. So it was quite a nice site to work on for us. And obviously make sure it went right, and we managed to be able to keep all of them at the end, which is what we want to do as developers, try and build to keep, really. So
you're doing 18 houses in Dagenham, and then this smallish project has come up for you two to work together. 18 houses in Dagenham sounds like quite a big job. And then this one's quite small. But earlier you said, Suzanne, it's gone so well, you flipped that around. So you must be getting some really, some chunky stuff and some better stuff, and the growth has been good.
Well, I think, like I say, you can take on as much as you can handle, can't you, really? But everything in construction's just a process anyway, if you just follow the process of it. But the biggest problem we had on that was the access, really. We was up a dead-end road, and no one really likes builders working up a dead-end road, do they? So, but we managed to get in the end, and it went really well. So but that's
So tell us about the team you've got. Is it your team and your team all working together? You go, Suzanne.
Pretty much. We've Craig has obviously got the construction team as such, but we have to pull in lots of different people, which usually is on a subcontractor basis, because it's not someone you need all of the time. And then we've got VA as well that does work for both of us. And that works really well. So most of the people we're working with outside of the construction team are remote based, because everything's in the cloud. You don't really need them to be on site. And then if we do need to have people come in to do certain reports, or they need to visit site, then typically they'll go to the site address anyway. And that team is always growing. We're introduced to lots of very useful people that we might not need right then, but we then find we need in the future. So our sort of power team around us of those people we can pull in, should something arise that we need an expert opinion on, we've got all of those around us, and can use those. But obviously Craig has got his own team which covers all the construction side of things, apart from sort of subcontracting out things like the electrics and plumbing, heating, that sort of thing.
So that first property that you did, when was that? Was that after COVID? That was, or during COVID, or just before?
During
2020.
We bought it just before. So 2019 we purchased it, and worked through COVID. So we had a small delay because of COVID.
You were allowed to work through, because builders could crack on, couldn't they? That was all right.
You had to do it in bubbles. So we couldn't have multiple teams, like the way you would normally run a project.
Slowed things down, I guess.
You could have multiple teams on site in different areas. Obviously we couldn't do that through COVID, but we were able to have, say, roofers working there because they worked together anyway. So that was their bubble. So that worked well for us. We were able to actually get the whole development built. We did have challenges, however. Obviously, we applied to
no end street.
Absolutely. The main challenges on that were the utilities. We needed electricity and water to build, and we'd put in the request for the temporary works to be done, and then COVID hit, so no one was doing that. So Craig, obviously thinking outside the box, basically built it using generators for the electricity, and also was carrying huge water tanks on his van to fill it up at his office and then take it back to site and fill it up from site, or paying the neighbour to fill it up. So it's that typical case of where there's a will, there's a way. Fight or flight, isn't it? So we were actually able to build all of the properties, and then when we were contacted for the temporary work to be done.
Yeah.
Right, we're working again now.
Yeah.
Like, well, actually, we don't need the temporary work. Can we just have the proper connections, please?
Yeah.
So, yeah, a lot of other developers actually down tools completely.
Yeah, but you cracked on.
But we carried on, yeah.
What about your locations? How far do you go out to look at properties? Is it just in this area, or
we normally do it within an hour? When we're normally doing our work, everything's normally within an hour of what we do. Because if there's an issue, we want to be able to get to it. So because obviously we're building it, then you get a phone call in the middle of the night or something, and we need to get there really. So, but we are Kent based really, and a lot of our developments we're doing are typically down in Thanet area and down like Margate, Whitstable.
There's plenty of them as well, isn't there? It's not like you need to travel far.
That's right, and it's the right way in the traffic for us. So
that always helps. helps. And marketing the business. Obviously, you do things like this. You've got BNI. Do you do any other sort of marketing?
We've got our social media, which we didn't really do to get business or investors. We did more of a communication tool, really.
Okay.
So our investors that we've got around us like watching the developments. They feel part of it, and they do that by watching what we're doing on social media. But I also think it gives other investors that potentially might want to think about who to invest in. I think it shows how we work, the integrity we have, and things like that as well. So I think social media is more than just trying to get conversions as such. For us, it's actually our showcase of what we're doing on a project at any given time.
It's awareness, isn't it, as well, and also a communication tool, like you say. But I think if people don't know about you and they hear about you and they go and look for you online, don't they?
Absolutely.
And if they see some projects on social media, then that's sort of, and they like it, that strengthens it completely.
Absolutely.
If you've got nothing going on, they're going to probably go and find someone who's got something going on.
Yeah, definitely.
And also they can just message you through it as well, which is great communication. What do you like about it both? What do you like about the best about it?
About the developing side of things?
Yeah.
I'd say freedom, to be quite honest.
Being your own boss and stuff like that.
Being your own boss, obviously running a business is that anyway, but obviously by cutting out the client for me is obviously a little bit of peace of mind that you can make the right decisions, and obviously Suzanne does a lot of the design, and obviously we know the building side of things that can and can't work, and it works really well between us. So, and I think just obviously being able to put that stamp on things and having to pick things, because obviously with builders and that, you sort of like, well, you just got to do. And now at the moment we are having a little bit of a say so of what we can and can't do, and it works nicely, and I think that's the biggest thing for me, the freedom side of things, and being able to be in control of the money, like I said before. Is that money's a big thing in any business, and that's what you get up to go to work for.
Absolutely.
And if you're doing what you enjoy the most, and then getting paid for it on time, then that's
even better,
win-win, really, isn't it?
Because cash flow is troublesome as well. A lot of businesses. I interviewed someone last week who said their main issue was cash flow. It just is. It can make or break you. But how about you, Suzanne? What do you like about it the most?
I think this continues from my interiors business as well, and actually everything I do. What I love the process of really understanding what people need for their lives, and putting that into practice, and then seeing that end result and how happy it makes people. For me, it's that whole journey, and that
you're like the finishing touches, aren't you? I guess.
Yeah, well, it's that buzz
more
at the
that.
end, and the value you've added. I've had literally clients say, "You've changed our lives."
Oh, wow.
Because you've changed how they live in their home, which is their life. And it's so important to people. And this is where I think the bit I really love doing is looking at the layouts, working out how it can be bettered. No disrespect to any architect out there, because they're wonderful at what they're doing. I'm not an architect, but I also am aware of how my clients in the past have always wanted to use their property, and I can look at that slightly more holistically, look at where the storage is, for example, because most developments that I've ever been into, doing loads of show flats all over the place, they have very little storage.
Okay.
They are not always practical. They don't consider where curtains and blinds are going to fit. You know, they'll take windows right up to the ceiling and have them opening inwards. And it's like, well, where do you put a blind? Where do you put a track for curtains or a pole or something like that? So I can think about the practicalities of actually living in the property from a slightly different perspective. And for me, I love that side of that side of it, that space planning angle, and I think every development we've done, I've changed the internal layout completely. But it usually it works and it adds value. You know, you're getting people's wish lists. It might be a utility room, it might be a walk-in wardrobe, just added storage, but it makes a huge difference to people's tick list and a quicker sale, and more added value. Yeah,
that must be very fulfilling for you both.
Love it.
And so let's move on to the future. What are your plans? Is just continuing, you know, buying buildings, doing them up, and what's going to go?
Well, our plan this year was to pretty much lose all of our clients, because we had been doing client work along the way with it, because we've got a team around us, but this year we've managed to replace our clients with our development. So obviously moving forward is to keep that going. Obviously with the economy at the moment, it's going to prove very difficult, because it's going to throw other obstacles at us. But to keep that going and to keep a team around us that we can, like Suzanne said, keep that legacy around us. And because the guys that work for me, you know, they're getting a benefit out of it as well. They're getting a lot of enjoyment on site. They're obviously, I've got apprentices that are coming through that are doing really well, which is great to see.
Yeah,
that's exactly what we want to do. You know, I've had an apprentice with me since he was 17. He's 21 now, and he's fitting kitchens and that now. So which is great to see, and we want to continue that. And but our aim is to have 4 projects running at once, and that's our capacity. And we want to continue that over the next 4 or 5 years. And like I say, the economy is going to prove a little bit difficult with that at the moment, so it's just diversing of what developments we should do. So commercial to residential at the moment is quite a big thing. A lot of permitted development that's going to be going on, so we're touching into that. And I think like multi-units really. So rather than like brand new houses, we want to be maybe turning old buildings. We've seen a lovely old building down in Margate, which is a beautiful building. Suzanne will get her hands on that, sure. She'll work wonders with it, you know.
Yeah, I'm sure she will. Yeah. Oh, that's really good. So, are you looking for people to contact you as well with their buildings that might need changing? Are you looking for that, or would you rather go off and find it rather than people come to you?
We get that as well. We get people that have either a plot of land or a building that they want to do something with, but they're not quite sure how to execute the whole thing. So that's definitely something we would have a conversation about. If it fits our criteria, then we would be happy to potentially put an option in it to buy it, subject to planning, or possibly even enter a JV, joint venture, for those that don't know what that is. To do that. One of the developments we just did, which was a pub being converted into 5 flats, was with somebody that owned the property. In fact, they'd worked in the property and owned it for 30 years as a pub, and lived above. And they put planning on it because they knew eventually they wanted to retire, and they wanted to change it into flats. So that was all in place, but they didn't know how to execute it to the next stages. So we did a joint venture with them, and did all the work for them, and they love what the finished result is. They've all been sold, and people have moved into those. So that can work really well as well. So we typically will discuss things with people that maybe are time poor but have money. Other people that have property that they want to change but don't know how to do it. And we also offer some mentoring advice services as well, that people can contact us about. That's great. Yeah, we're open to the conversation, basically. Yeah, sure. No, I get it. No, so, thank you. So if anyone wants to speak to Craig or Suzanne, all details will be underneath this podcast, and you can get in touch with them. Your website, LinkID, is it linkid.co.uk or something like that? link-id.co.uk. Okay, so they can get in touch with you through that. Absolutely, yes, please. Craig and Suzanne, thank you so much for coming in. It was really lovely to talk to you both. And sounds like what you've got going on is something really cool. So well done. Congratulations. It's really good. Thank you. Thank you. And, thanks so much. And we'll see you for another podcast soon. Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you.